all three state legislators and U.S. Congressman Scott Perry. I am a 50-year resident of Adams County. I've been married for nearly 38 years to my lovely wife that's out there somewhere helping me. She's over there. Thank you. And I am a family-oriented Christian as my background and source of my values. I come before you as a candidate for re-election. Shortly after being elected in 2011, people began asking me, will you run again? And I said two things must happen. I must be alive at that time, and more importantly, I must have the confidence of the people. Obviously, number one is in play. I am alive today. Number two is confirmed regularly by individuals thanking us for the good job that we do and have done. That is often followed by, we hope you run again. So, that being said, my time in office has given me invaluable experience that tells me running again is the right thing to do. I'm not running again to win a trophy, but to fulfill a responsibility to serve the people of Adams County. And I plan to tell you more later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. Next, we would like to hear from Mr. Hollinger.
Good evening. My name is Bruce Hollinger. I'm a resident of Carroll Valley, and I'm a candidate for the Republican ticket for the county commissioner. I was born here in Adams County at Annie M. Warner Hospital, and my mom and dad, when they took me home, they took me to Emmitsburg, Maryland, which is right across the Maryland border, and I cried the whole way home. But I served in the U.S. Army. As soon as I was able to, I came back to Carroll Valley and built my home here. I have a decade of supervisory and managerial experience in a manufacturing setting, working with the personnel, machinery, raw materials, controlling costs, and achieving goals. Basically, I became interested in politics because of the reassessment. I created a website called spreadthemustard.com, and on it I tried to give the people in Adams County the tools to fight their reassessments, which everybody pretty much agreed that it was horrendous. I went back and looked at campaign promises from last election, and all three incumbents said they wanted to end inequitable property reassessments. They were promoting property tax relief, and we're calling for the reassessment to be re-examined and re-evaluated. And to date, nothing has happened other than ordinance number 3, which ignores the 15% threshold, and they adopted an ordinance that recognizes a 20% COD threshold, which basically kicks the can down the road. I'm also an advocate for property tax reform, and I support the House bill that they have in the House now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hollinger. Mr. Bolton. I'm sorry, what? Mr. Bolton, your opening statement, please.
Thank you. My name is David Scotty Bolton. Just to clear up the confusion, Scott is my middle name. Growing up in the area, of course, I go by Scotty. So I'm a McSherrystown Borough Councilor. I'm in my second term currently, and I represent Adams County as the Vice President of the Adams County Boroughs Association. I'm also the Legislative Chair. From the Adams County Boroughs Association, I was asked to serve on the Adams County Transportation Planning Organization, and I also represent McSherrystown to the Hanover Area Regional Economic Development Committee, which I helped found 3 years ago. From that, I go to the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs as a board of directors representing Adams County. I'm also the voting delegate for Adams County and for McSherrystown Borough. I serve on their Resolution and Policy Committee and also on their Nominating Committee. What does that mean to you? That means that I'm highly involved. I'm out there almost every day after a 10-hour shift, a 2-hour commute, and going to county meetings, going to municipalities, updating them on our initiatives, and trying to gain consensus among our municipalities so that I can better represent the people of Adams County. Growing up in Hanover was a great opportunity for me. It was a great community. Of course, we see it very seamless to McSherrystown. Outsiders really roll through, and they don't know the difference. And I like that hometown feel that we have here. Of course, our Hanover greater metropolitan area extends to Gettysburg. So what does that mean? That means I have everybody's best interest in mind when I go up there and I place votes on a state level for you. So got a lot of great ideas tonight. Hopefully you'll be very open to them and get back to me afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bolton. Mr. Smith, your opening statement, please.
Hello, good evening. I'm Jim Smith. I'm a man of humble beginnings. My father was a maintenance man at Utz Foods for many, many years. My mother was a part-time hairdresser and full-time homemaker with 3 busy boys to take care of, me being the middle of which. I grew up in a firm, loving Christian home where morals and ethics were installed at an early age through lots of love and discipline. As an adolescent and a teenager, I learned the value of goal settings and leadership skills through the Boy Scouts of America, climbing to the highest rank of Eagle Scout. Only 3% of all Scouts reach the rank of Eagle. It takes lots of hard work, persistence, and resilience, and I'm very proud of that accomplishment. After high school, I enlisted in the United States Army, where I became a jungle expert trained paratrooper, where I learned more about prestige and honor, while having the respect and obedience of my parents taught me reinforced. Because I have the mindset to fight harder, to be resilient, and to be more self-reliant than other soldiers, I was distinguished with outstanding achievement, superb performance of duty, and technical expertise. I'm a self-starter. I've been involved in many activities, business activities, throughout the course of my life. Through my entrepreneurship, I have learned the importance of resilience, how to manage people, projects, and problems. I became involved in local government 5 years ago, first as a planning commissioner for Germany Township, and then as elected township supervisor. Through all my past experiences, I feel that I am now ready to serve as your commissioner, and if elected, I want to and will make a difference. Thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Mr. Phiel, your opening remarks, please.
Good evening. I want to welcome everyone here this evening and also the folks who may be watching at home at a later date. I am Randy Phiel, and it's my honor and privilege to be your Chair County Commissioner. I'm a lifelong resident of Adams County. I grew up in Gettysburg and on the family fruit farm in Cashtown. I obtained a B.S. Administration of Justice from American University and a Master's in Public Administration from Shippensburg, where I was also a graduate assistant in the government department. I am proud of my distinguished 30-year career as a United States law enforcement ranger for the National Park Service, sent many times on details across the country for Homeland Security, dignitary protection, and wildfire suppression. Prior to being elected Adams County Commissioner, I was a Cumberland Township Supervisor. I was on the Planning Commission. I was also on the Municipal Authority. At this time, besides being Adams County Commissioner Chairman, I am honored to have been selected by my County Commissioner colleagues to the Pennsylvania County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania Board of Directors as the representative from Region 3, which is 10 counties. I was recently also appointed to the Penn State Mount Alto Advisory Board. What a difference 4 years makes from when we were here before. If you recall, 4 years ago, it was a tumultuous, contentious, and frustrating time in Adams County. The board was handed many challenges and obstacles in 2011. There was an unpopular reassessment, an antiquated and falling emergency radio system, antiquated IT equipment and software, and an aging, costly vehicle fleet. Even the courthouse roof at the clock tower was leaking. The solutions to these problems took leadership, experience, vision, common sense, which are qualities too rarely displayed by political bodies these days. Even before taking office and walking in the door, this board rolled up our sleeves, identified issues, and tackled these matters. Today, I can tell you that for the vast majority of Adams County residents in the past 3 years, we have restored confidence as well as operational and fiscal stability in Adams County government. We are by no means perfect, but Commissioner Martin and I have a joint campaign slogan that we feel could not be more descriptive. It is proven experience, leadership, vision, and common sense. I look forward to being with you this evening, and thank you for your interest and involvement in coming tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phiel. We'll now move on to the questions. The questions were derived by the Cross Keys Voter Information Group as well as members of the Adams County Farm Bureau. Just like the opening statements, we will go through the candidates and rotate the positions that they are in. After all of the questions, we'll then have closing statements, and the candidates will go in the reverse order of how they gave their opening statements. So we're going to start off. The first question is, what ideas do you have for increasing the availability of jobs in Adams County? And we'll start off with Mr. Martin.
Okay, as far as my ideas for jobs in Adams County, one thing I think is critical is to find out what our businesses in the county do need. And there are surveys that have been taken, and there's good information there related to the skill sets that are needed for the businesses that operate in the county. And also, part of that assessment is to determine what the age cycle is for people that are employed now. How many people are approaching retirement in certain job classifications and skills? So I think that's where we need to focus, and I believe Harrisburg Area Community College is on board with that focus of trying to fulfill the job needs based on where we were headed by the number of people that we're losing from the workforce, plus assessing what are the future potentials for employment coming into the county. And also at the Tech Center, the Gettysburg High School, we need to assess what their capabilities are for training future needs of the county. And I know they're doing a very good job of training people for the medical and law enforcement field. So that area of employment seems to be well covered as far as training and bringing people into the workforce. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. Mr. Hollinger, what are your ideas for increasing the availability of jobs here in Adams County?
Well, I would make myself available to the business owners, any prospective business owners that wanted to come to the county, and find out what kind of obstacles that they're incurring, and why they're staying away or why they want to come in, and visit the municipalities, and also try to identify any roadblocks that are preventing businesses from relocating here. Tractor Supply comes in mind. I love Tractor Supply, and I'm glad that they finally got in. I could get lost in there for hours, but I don't know why it took so long to get them here. So there's something out there that seems to be in the way, and I don't know what it is, but I think we need to identify it. Adams County, I think, on the whole, seems to be leper zone for businesses, and we need to resolve that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hollinger. Mr. Bolton.
Thank you. As I said, I'm an active member of the Regional Economic Development Committee. It was the first of its kind in Pennsylvania because it crossed county lines. Last year, we were actually nominated for a Governor's Award for Excellence in Local Government for our efforts. In November of last year, I presented a resolution in favor of industrial hemp cultivation to the ACBA. It was the first piece of municipal legislation in modern history to bring back the industry to the state and the county. It was one of the four main staples of Pennsylvania agriculture up until the 1930s. That resolution passed unanimously among the boroughs. Since then, 19 municipalities, boroughs, and townships have confirmed adoption of resolutions in favor of starting pilot studies to reconfirm feasibility of hemp cultivation on our lands. Senate Bill 50, taking its cue partially from the ACBA efforts, will allow private participation from our county farmers in these studies. Instead of using TIF monies to fund corporate welfare or for a single store or helping private for-profit businesses sell homes. I want to secure some hemp harvesting and processing equipment, get ready for this industry. Use it in conjunction with the County Ag Department and the Penn State Cooperative Extension. Start cultivating and processing this $50 billion crop.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bolton. Mr. Phiel.
I'm sure we'll talk about economic development later on, but I think, first of all, we need to look at a fair balance of economic development in Adams County. We need a diversity of jobs, a diversity of economics. And I agree, we need to identify what jobs are available in Adams County or what jobs we can make available in Adams County and then facilitate those jobs. There's no doubt that I think we've come a long way with the tech program for the county at the high school, and also HAC. We work with HAC all the time, and I think they are continually making their programs and classes more relevant, not only to youth, but also as far as retraining our adult community. You know, there's certain things, for example, ag. We need to expand ag. Ag IT, you know, is becoming more prevalent all the time. We're using IT in our ag industry. These are the kind of, you know, broadband type industries. You know, one of our problems is we aren't keeping our youth in the county. We aren't creating jobs for our youth in the county. And we need to have jobs and job training that keeps our youth in Adams County. And again, I come from a township background, and, you know, we can't change the fact that Pennsylvania is a commonwealth. We're a commonwealth. We have 34 municipalities in Adams County. And those municipalities have different standards for planning, for zoning, etc. And it makes you pull your hair out. It makes developers pull their hair out. It makes folks who want to build pull their hair out. And sometimes, I will tell you, for projects we want to do for the county, it makes us pull their hair out. So it seems to be an age-old problem. And I will say, because of the Council of Governments and the work of the Council of Governments in the last several years in Adams County, I think the Council of Government has made huge inroads in bringing those municipalities together and having more common ground and common goals.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phiel. And finally, Mr. Smith.
I think everyone's made good points. I think one of the things I would like to see happen is a feasibility study of a bypass being put in around Gettysburg, maybe from county end to county end along Route 30, to eliminate some of the traffic downtown, which I think a lot of businesses would disagree with me that they think that's going to take business away from downtown, but I would disagree with them, as I think that would bring more business to downtown, which would provide more jobs in the tourist industry. Also, if you had a bypass, you would create a corridor where you would attract a business and maybe offer some tax incentives or this TIF program to bring in industries that are providing skilled labor, which are going to provide higher paying jobs for our community. That could be equally balanced with some agricultural preservation to increase agricultural jobs, and last and least would be these big box retail stores that we would all love to see, the Walmart and the Tractor Supply, which are bringing low-paying, unskilled labor force, which really doesn't benefit the community as much as we would enjoy seeing these box stores. The previously mentioned jobs that I would try to introduce and bring into the community should overshadow and outweigh the jobs provided by big box stores.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. The next question will start off with Mr. Bolton. What is your position on the proposed Gettysburg Crossing project as it relates to tax increment financing?
I think I touched on that a little bit in my previous answer. Of course, TIF money was originally introduced in the 1950s in California. This was created to eliminate blight and to restore and revitalize our industries. It was not designed for corporate welfare. And currently, California no longer uses the TIF system because of the litigation that has come out of that. Going back to my thought with the hemp, once we get it legalized, and it will be legalized, we allow farmers to lease the equipment that we've brought in to reduce their market penetration costs and allow them to grow and then purchase their own equipment. Instead of building the big stores or development, let's build an industry that is proven to be profitable to the estimate of $350 per acre, according to the Pennsylvania Hemp Company. Let's use that TIF money, let's eliminate the blight, and let's restore industrial facilities to attract companies to process and sell Adams County hemp. I know this is going to work because I've already spoken with the members of the Hanover Regional Economic Development Committee. We are putting together a database of all of our facilities in our municipalities that would contribute to the success of the hemp industry. Hanover Cordage Company was a huge producer back before the prohibition of hemp in the 1930s. Scott Perry has signed on to a federal hemp bill. Dan Mao has signed on to the House hemp bill. As Commissioner, I will continue to see through the vision of Adams County agriculturally and economically.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bolton. Mr. Smith.
I couldn't agree with Scotty more, and I think that these TIF monies should definitely not be used to attract big box stores to the community. I would agree that in certain situations, depending on the industry and what type of infrastructure they were going to bring to the community, that maybe some of these TIFs could be beneficial to Adams County, especially if we're going to have a huge industry come in that's going to provide skilled labor jobs for our citizens and provide infrastructure to support their business.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Mr. Phiel.
Well, I'm going to agree with everybody in a different way. I think that tax incentives need to be considered in certain applications. We are competing against all kinds of areas in Pennsylvania and against neighboring states who are using incentives all the time. That's the reality. That's what we're competing against. And I think incentives need to be considered on an individual basis. It's as simple as that. I keep reading that it's on the backs of the taxpayers. Well, normally the way the TIF works, the taxpayer isn't asked to put any money out. If you use $1,000 as a base, the first year the developer pays $100 as opposed to nothing. The taxpayers, the county getting nothing. The next year it's $200, $300, etc. So, I think that to not look at incentives on a case-by-case basis when the market out there is utilizing incentives everywhere we look, we need to selectively to look at that. And for development and industry to go everywhere else because of the competition and not come into Adams County, that's something we need to consider. And I must tell you, the people I talk to keep saying, why don't we have more development? Why doesn't anybody build here? And I realize that agriculture, which I'm pro-ag, is and pro-preservation at the same time, but we need to have a balance. We need to have a balance of economic development, and we need to have a balance of incentives as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phiel. Mr. Hollinger.
I believe TIF has a place, but one of the things I believe is a good use of TIF was for the Gettysburg Hotel there on the square in Gettysburg. That was undeniably a blight, an eyesore for those who visited Gettysburg. So that was a good use of a TIF. Another good use of a TIF, I think, would bring in skilled wages, skilled labor, factory jobs, manufacturing jobs to the area. For retail, I have a hard time with it. I also believe that is just a form of corporate welfare. I believe that the developer will still make money regardless if he gets TIF financing or not. And I believe he's just holding his hand out waiting for somebody to grease his palm a little bit. But I grew up in nearby. I traveled to Fairfield. Back in 1975, they put a printing facility in the middle of a cornfield on about 5 acres, whatever it is, and that provided jobs for hundreds of people, good skilled labor jobs for hundreds of people for generations, and for decades. And that was they didn't get any TIF financing then. but we need manufacturing jobs. We need something that pays more than retail jobs do. So anything that other than retail jobs, I'll support TIF financing for.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hollinger, and we'll close this one with Mr. Martin.
Okay, thank you. I know TIF is an interesting issue. That's tax incremental financing. And the question we have here is, I agree with Commissioner Phiel that you have to evaluate a project on its own merits, and plus what the needs are of the county. And our tax base has not substantially increased. Our tax base needs to be bolstered. Also, we do have a need for business and jobs in the area. And the area that you mentioned, Gettysburg Crossing, is in an area that is zoned for commercial use. So why don't use it commercially? And we are in a difficult business environment, and there is a need to create incentives to bring developers in to get them to do the job. If they do the job, we will have increased tax revenue. And of course, the TIF is financed through the increased taxes that are collected. The people of Adams County are not taxed heavier to pay for the TIF, but it's a very interesting concept. In this particular example, the TIF represents about 4% of the project cost. So it's not that a major portion of the developer's needs are being paid for by the TIF in this particular instance. And we're not also insinuating that we want to bring in what we call a weak sister, a weak company. Whoever comes in to do this as a developer needs to be a solid company that we need to review. We don't want to bring someone in that is going to flounder or fail with the TIF. We want them also to succeed. So developers coming in, it's their choice what goes on the property, and also, as I say, we have a difficult environment in which to develop, and a TIF is an option that can be used. It may not be the right thing all the time, but this is a situation where perhaps it can be considered. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. For the next question, we will start off with Mr. Smith. It's two parts. If elected, would you continue the farmland preservation program and be willing to increase the funding? Again, Mr. Smith.
Yes, most definitely. I think agricultural preservation in Adams County is equally, if not more important than economical development. Of course, you would need the economical development to provide the funds to pay for the agricultural preservation. I've been to some of the agricultural preservation meetings. They've already identified key properties that would be targeted to be asked to be placed into this program. And what the county's trying to eliminate at this time is what Mr. Waybright refers to as shotgun agricultural preservation, meaning if you take a look at the Adams County map, and every plot of land, all the agricultural preservation properties are scattered out like the blast from a shotgun. And now what both organizations are attempting to do is to get properties on either side of the properties that are existing in agricultural preservation and cluster these properties together to create bigger parcels of land that are necessarily joined together now, but could be in the future, so you could have 1,000 or 1,500 or 3,500 acre farm instead of all these little 100-acre scattered farms that are in agricultural preservation plans currently. That's it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Mr. Phiel.
You know, I'm not sure it's just about money, and actually Mr. Smith's hit on it. When we came into office, there was a lot of, farmland preservation going on, but I'm not sure it was being done effectively. Whether you want to preserve properties or you want to develop properties, I think you need some type of a plan. And one thing we did is we worked with planning and urged them to come up with a system that actually wasn't a shotgun approach, and it's not a shotgun approach anymore. In fact, you take various characteristics and rank them that have to do with soils and are they at headwaters, etc. But you also look, is it contiguous to other properties? And you look at a map and there were properties scattered around. Now, if they're contiguous to other properties, that actually increases the ranking of those properties. Now, conversely, with economic development, planning is now doing the same thing. And I think it's making a whole lot more sense to a whole lot of people. As far as, increasing the amount, I believe, I hear that in 2008, whenever it was, there was a referendum to spend $10 million for land preservation. Well, in fact, by the end of this year, we will have spent in excess of $10 million, between $10 and $11 million on farmland preservation. In fact, last year, my understanding, with monies from that year and monies from previous years that carried over, we spent in excess of $1 million. But you know what? In the end, we are the county commissioners, and we have all kinds of constituencies and all kinds of need in Adams County. Is farmland preservation more important than emergency services? When you call 911, you know what? I bet when you call 911, you're more concerned about the ambulance getting there and good radio communications. So those are the kind of issues. We'll talk about one issue up here, but we literally deal with hundreds of issues, and we got to balance hundreds of issues, and we intend to do that. But yes, is farmland preservation very important? Yes, it is. Is economic development very important? Yes, it is.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phiel. We'll move on to Mr. Martin.
Thank you. As far as ag land preservation, it is an important aspect of what happens in Adams County. And as Commissioner Phiel mentioned, it's got to be balanced with the amount of funds we have to put into different projects. There are priorities that need to be set. Health is a high priority. We can't jeopardize health and welfare of our people. We have to have certain areas available for business. Also, we need to have certain areas available for agriculture. Agriculture is our leading industry in the county that needs to be protected now and for in the future. If ag land is not preserved, it is not available for the future. It may be lost. And as Commissioner Phiel mentioned, to make the most of our dollars that we put into ag preservation, our ag priorities preservation plan has gone into place, and this has made a more effective use of the money that we put into ag land preservation. And also, we set a precedence by having townships join in and share in the funds that are needed for ag preservation. So we've tried to make our monies go farther and use them more wisely towards ag preservation. And also, I've challenged the planning department to develop what is the critical mass, what is the actual acreage we need to shoot for as far as doing our ag preservation. And some of the things that have been done, like Commissioner Phiel says, we got away from the shotgun approach. We're putting our ag lands in clustered areas so ag activity is related to each other and close to the sources of it. And one thing that comes along with ag preservation that is very important and valuable is protecting our water resources. Our water quality is very important to the quality of life in Adams County, and that's one reason I support ag preservation, is because what it means to our water quality. Because you diminish the water quality in the county and you diminish the quality of life, and Adams County becomes less attractive. So
thank you, Mr.
ag preservation has many benefits.
Thank you,
just
Mr.
besides
Martin.
farming itself.
Mr. Hollinger.
My work takes me to new developments down in Virginia and D.C. area every day. And I could tell you, all the things that go along with that, the traffic congestion, I don't want any parts of that. On the other hand, I'm not an advocate for the easements. What I would like to do, rather than giving a few families a lot of money for the rights to their land, or actually they retain their land, I would like to direct that money to something that the community benefits, something like a watershed, reservoir with hiking, fishing, those types of things, something that Adams County could call their own. Nearby, Emmitsburg, Maryland has 1,100 acres. They have a watershed, forested, and they have a reservoir and wells and stuff that they place up there. And that is a form of recreation up there, hiking trails. And I would like to see something like that in Adams County. So I would try to direct those funds to something that the entire population of Adams County can benefit and enjoy, rather than just a few families.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hollinger. And finally, for this question, Mr. Bolton.
Thank you. To answer the questions, am I in favor of preservation? Yes. Do I think we need to increase the funding? I don't know. Let me answer that. About 2 weeks ago, I was invited to the York Agricultural Recognition Banquet to meet with the Acting Secretary of Agriculture, Russell Redding. We got an opportunity to speak for a little bit about our efforts here in Adams County and his ideas for the state. The state has the notion to increase the funds available for land preservation. Of course, Pennsylvania is already a leader in land preservation. Of course, I know that from down at our neighbor, Oxford Township, with the Jesuit farm. So, going forward, we need to find ways and opportunities that are right. We need to make sure that the lands that we are preserving, we have plans for. I think we've done a great job at preserving land so far. I think we should continue to do so. But now what? Now what do we do with that land? Current Senate Bill 201 in the Ag and Rural Affairs Committee amends the Clean and Green Law to allow landowners up to 2 acres of operation of a rural enterprise which is incidental to the tract of land enrolled. What does that mean for Adams County farming? It means we can continue to preserve lands like those secured by our Land Conservancy while giving landowners an opportunity for greater profitability by running a farmer's market or performing farm equipment repair as a business on those lands. It would also allow our future hemp farmers to process, manufacture, and sell their own crops, create goods, and increase their revenues, create jobs, and revitalize the economy. That's my vision for Adams County Conservancy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bolton. For the next question, we will start off with Mr. Phiel. What are your ideas for controlling property taxes at the county level here in Adams County?
Well, obviously, controlling property taxes, you need to control. If you control expenses, you don't need as much property tax. So there's no doubt that controlling taxes is directly related to that. So either it's pretty simple. You need to either cut cost or increase revenues. So I think on the one hand, you need to make sure your costs, are very slim or very guarded, and also, how can you create revenues? Well, I'm proud to report that, and part of that goes back to potentially increasing economic development is one way. Right now, I'm proud to report that in last year, we all know what the economic conditions were for the last, since 2007, 2008. And I'm proud to report that right now all building permits come through the county. Well, they've increased 16%. So, that certainly is going to increase your tax base. So, basically what it boils down to is it's simple. It's watching your cost, trying to look at your revenue streams, and consequently, you'll have a fair tax base. If you don't do that, then your taxes are going to increase. And the last 5 or 6 years, times have been tough. And I know in the last 3 years, we've had a situation where when we walked in the office, it's sort of like if you buy a house, and you have to buy a house in a certain neighborhood, and the roof's leaking, and the septic has problems. You got to put some money into it. Well, we walked in the door, and there was a languishing 911 radio system. There was a IT department that was antiquated and needed software and equipment. And we had a vehicle fleet that was aging and costly. It was costing us a lot of money. So we had to spend money in order to get that done. Those things are done. And right now, last year, there was a balanced budget, no tax increase, and we had a nice contingency reserve. So I see fiscal stability and leveling out for Adams County, but there were some things, and with that, I think we had a per average residence a $38 tax increase in 2012 and a $37 tax increase in 2014. So to get those things done and have that small a tax increase, I commend this Board of Commissioners.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phiel. Mr. Martin.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sure nobody out there really wants higher taxes. And we as a board are very sensitive to the fact that we do not want to see taxes go higher. And to try to solve that problem in 2 minutes may be quite difficult. But one of the means to solve and control property taxes is economic development. The more economic development you have, the more tax revenue you draw into the community, the less demand there is for raising taxes. So if we can increase commercial and industrial activity, that will be a help in that regard. Also, maintaining property values, incentives to keep your property in good condition, keeps everyone's property values higher and keeps us on a more sustained and level payment of taxes. And as Commissioner Phiel mentioned, we as a county, of course, that's where the taxes are needed to take care of county expenses. And the wiser planners that we are in the county to control our county expenses will keep the propensity for the need for taxes to go up. We found efficiencies through the last 3 years that have greatly benefited our budgeting process. You mentioned getting on a amortization schedule for our fleet of automobiles. You can't keep hanging on to dilapidated automobiles and keep putting money into them over and over. We saw the need to upgrade our IT system. That was waning. You can't keep putting things into a system that's behind in technology, putting money into something and something that's going to fade away. So that's where you have to look forward and see where your financial needs are and tackle those before they jump on you at the last minute. Because when you get last minute expenses dropped in your lap, a lot of times your only alternative is to raise taxes. So to avoid those emergency expenditures means a lot in controlling your budget and requiring less of a need to raise taxes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. Mr. Bolton, we'll move on to you.
Thank you. Taxes are always the path of least resistance, aren't they? I'm a true fiscal conservative. Let me tell you what that means. With the 2013 McSherrystown budget, I developed a plan to stave off proposed tax increases and a sewer rate, base rate increase, both of which I voted against. Instead, I came up with a different path, increasing the sewage usage rates. That would have protected seniors and those on fixed incomes, promoted responsible water conservation, and afforded us the funds necessary for infrastructure repairs. Using the rate increase, it would expire. That would expire in 3 years, and then provide the needed funds for our repairs, at the end of which the rates would have lowered back to their original levels. Another thing that I think is important is the fact that municipal salaries are constantly increasing. As a county commissioner, my first action would be a moratorium on the ordinance passed February 6, 2013 to increase the pay of the 3 commissioners, which would save the county over $18,000 in salaries. I would also support a wage freeze for the commissioners while I was in office and encourage other departments to follow suit by finding savings through regular department VAM meetings. The county prison budget is over $10 million. I've spoken with employees who said their suggestions have gone unheard. Declining faith in leadership. I've spoken to residents who said they're tired of paying to house nonviolent offenders, tarnishing their futures instead of rehabilitating citizens. We need to reduce spending and we need to increase revenues. That's not a doubt. but not the other way around. We need to expand our tax base and reduce individual contributions, put more discretionary money into the local economy, and allow it to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith.
I'd like to commend the current commissioners for doing a fabulous job, and the very small tax increase that some people did see is very insignificant. Unfortunately, as a businessman, I see no reason that taxes should ever increase. When you run a business, if you have equipment that needs repaired or fixed or replaced, we don't simply raise the price of our products in order to generate more revenue. We have to create a new avenue to our business, or in the county's case, more economic development to create the funds to pay for these things that we need to fix and repair. So, in my mind, the key to controlling property tax increases is to run a more efficient, frugal, effective, and productive government. And Mr. Bolton has touched on a very key point, our prison system. We're all tough on crime, and we want our criminals in prison, but when 70% of every person that leaves Adams County Jail returns to prison, again, that's costing us 28% of the county budget. If we could spend a fraction of that budget to rehabilitate these criminals so they're not returning to prison, we could save even a small portion of that 28% of the county budget. Is a huge astronomical amount of money that could go into repairing whatever we need to fix in the county. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and Mr. Hollinger.
Property taxes is the primary source of revenue for the county. Tax Services Department is responsible for that. I have the budget numbers for the Tax Services Department here for the last 6 years, and if I would put these numbers into a graph, it would look like a flat line, meaning it's dead. It certainly means that there's no growth in the county because the numbers range pretty steady. The only two blips that are on these numbers are following the 2 years of increases of 5% property tax increases that the current administration affected here. Another thing that I would look at, most of you are aware of my litigation against Adams County in the form of the improper administration of the Clean and Green program. I estimate that there's at least $100 million of tax base out there that is not being taxed properly. I think that we should bring equity to the property tax system here in Adams County and let those who aren't paying their fair share right now to pay their fair share. I think it's time for that, and although my litigation failed, it wasn't ruled that it was improper or unfounded. It was just that I didn't have standing and I didn't file properly. I filed pro se by myself, and the standing portion of it, the judge ruled that I may have gotten a black eye through this ordeal, but everybody else also got a black eye. So unless I got two black eyes, I wasn't harmed any more severely than anybody else.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hollinger. As I stated at the beginning, and the candidates received last week, the rules state that if a candidate is specifically mentioned by name or the board that he sits on, the candidate will get an offer for a 1-minute rebuttal. So therefore, due to some of the comments that were made, I am going to give Mr. Phiel and Mr. Martin a chance for a 1-minute rebuttal if they wish.
You want to go first?
Go ahead.
Well, certainly, you know, it's America, and you're entitled to your own opinion. That's what makes our country great. But an opinion doesn't make it fact. And the fact is that, yes, Mr. Hollinger, his opinion, his interpretation differs. It differs from a lot of folks, including the courts. And although he may feel that it was simply standing, his suit against the county and the commissioners, of which he used my parents' obituaries in that suit, my mother and father's obituaries, in that suit against us, it was dismissed. It was not only dismissed, it was dismissed with prejudice. So up to this point, we were being sued, and we just had to remain mute on this. But it's a fact that we have a system, we have a judicial system. He may feel he was treated unfairly, but in fact, it was a decision that was dismissed with prejudice. Now, clean and green, I will admit there are some items in there that are a matter of interpretation. And you may not agree with them. And you know what? I think a lot of our farmers and agriculture folks, they certainly are very positive about clean and green. And you may have some other folks who are, but you know what? It's state legislated. It isn't a decision that we make, that a decision that our forefathers in the Commissioner's office made to enact clean and green, and it's a statute. So again, Mr. Hollinger is entitled to his interpretation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. If you wish, you are offered a 1-minute rebuttal.
And when it comes to the clean and green program, if someone perceives it wrongly, to take it to a lawsuit for something that is established by the state is improper. It wastes a lot of county time and money to deal with the suit. That's one issue. The other thing is, this thing was ruled with prejudice, means you can't come back again. And not being able to come back again is not because of technicalities, it's because the rudiments of the suit just weren't right. So it's a shame that we have to go through these accusations and suits, and it is time-consuming to the county. It does consume county money, and probably consumes far more than anything that Mr. Hollinger will find. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the next question, Mr. Martin will have the first option. Many youth... I'm sorry.
They brought my name up. So
yes, you can. I'm sorry. You can have a 1-minute rebuttal.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to add that the clean and green, the new clean and green policy that the county adopted has stipulation in there for reenactments. Reenactments are not addressed in the clean and green law, the state law. However, it does benefit a member sitting here. So, in order to follow law, I think if you have a conflict of interest, you shouldn't be involved in those types of discussions. So, thank you.
Okay. He didn't mention him by name, but it is very, very obvious who he was speaking about. So I'm going to give Mr. Phiel one chance, or a 1-minute rebuttal if he wishes to do so.
We are digressing here, unfortunately. Well, I have this statute in front of me. Aggretainment, which this is allowed under clean and green statutes. In fact, right here, it's in yellow. It's highlighted. Not to mention the fact that it's been county policy for decades, even when Mr. Stokes was a commissioner back there, that reenactments and other activities on farmland where the farmland is not impacted, meaning a crop field where you go ahead and you make your crop, etc. That's been county policy for decades. And not to mention aggretainment is allowed in the clean and green statute. So again, we have a matter of interpretation. So I appreciate you letting me address that, Alex.
Absolutely, Mr. Phiel. Moving on. Many youth graduating from high school or college leave the area due to lack of employment opportunities. This leaves an increasing aging population in Adams County. Also, many people move here from other areas who have already retired. What planning should be in place to address the needs of the senior citizens here in our county? And for this one, we'll start off with Mr. Martin.
Well, addressing the needs of the senior citizens, they could be from health needs to financial needs. Perhaps most of the seniors that come here have retirement income. I think we could have in place for them opportunities to invest their money wisely, to invest their money better, to make those funds last. We also should make sure that we have facilities to provide seniors with means of staying healthy through exercise. We have senior centers that could be used for nutrition education. Also, we have the Arts Council that we could prepare them to bring in our seniors for nutrition counseling, because nutrition is valuable in maintaining health. Also, I am on the board of the Adams County Office for Aging, and there are numerous programs there aimed at helping people to maintain healthier lifestyles. So I think through the use of the Office for Aging and promoting and educating people on healthier lifestyles would be something that would benefit the seniors that do move here. And also, I know as I approach retirement, I'm always looking for ways to increase my income with the money that I do have in retirement. So I think that's one thing that we need to offer seniors, perhaps through the Office for Aging, how you can maximize your income. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. Mr. Hollinger.
I'm not too concerned with the seniors that are moving here. I'm more concerned with the ones that are already here. So property tax reform is still number one. I still support the House bill. It's more of a consumer-related thing. It's based on the consumer spending. The goal is to eliminate school taxes, which is the biggest portion of the taxes that we pay, property tax-wise. And again, administer the Clean and Green program properly, and ease the burden on those that are being treated unfairly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hollinger. Mr. Bolton.
Thank you. I remember studying Native Americans when I was in school, and they had a great heritage of taking care of their elders when they were no longer able to go on the hunts and the forages. And being part Native American myself, we have a very strong bond in our family. And I remember for years my grandfather coming and living with us when he was having troubles. The donations that happen through the local governments to the Agency on Aging do help and benefit our seniors right now currently, and I do support that. I've visited many senior centers throughout Adams County and try to get involved. I work in Redline currently. So I try to, I run a restaurant over there, and I try to think to myself, we're at the end of breakfast, what can I do for somebody here? I'll take a batch of fresh biscuits over to the senior center. Now, does a batch of biscuits help them pay their bills? No, but hopefully it inspires other people to get involved and to give. Our senior center in McSherrystown Borough needs a new floor. It's going to cost us a little over $6,000. We got community donations of $1,500 to put towards that. Now, $1,500, that's 25% of that. Think how much more we could do if more people would get involved and understand the heritage that the Native Americans had. Our seniors volunteer at fire departments across the county. They are vital to our infrastructure. I've volunteered at a few of their feeds and spoken with them and talked to them about their lives. And I know that if we don't replace these people in our society as they get older and as they go away, we're not going to have the same hometown feel that we have now in the county. So I am absolutely behind trying to do as much as we can for our seniors in our communities.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bolton. Mr. Phiel.
Well, a lot of folks don't think of senior citizens as an economic opportunity, but actually a lot of the retirees moving into our community right now are professionals. They come from professional backgrounds. They do have fair retirements. They do have fair pensions. And they do spend money. They do spend money. They do need services. They tend to volunteer. And you know what? Most of them don't have children, so they put no tax burden on our school system, which is where the majority of our taxes go. So, I like senior citizens. I'm basically almost one myself. And, can appreciate that they do have a role in our community. I do think that we do need to provide health care services dedicated to seniors. I'm not sure we're great at that yet in Adams County. We're still getting used to folks coming in to our county. I think we need to create employment opportunities for seniors. Seniors are good, reliable, steady workforce, and we need to take advantage of that. And normally they don't require, a large wage. They want to get out, they want to make some extra money, they want to do something. They're also great volunteers. We obviously have volunteer opportunities at Adams County, but I think we can take advantage of the expertise of many of these senior citizens more than we do so now. Also, they make great mentors. I think we need to take advantage of that more than we do at the moment. And there's no doubt, I think, taxes and senior citizens, it's a great concern. Not all the senior citizens are professionals from the Washington-Baltimore area. And I will tell you that this board, and especially myself, anytime we need to think about an increase in anything, especially taxes, it's very poignant. I'm proud to say that my parents, their last 5 years of their life, I paid their taxes for them to stay in their home. That's a heck of a thing, isn't it? And you know what? I'm extremely proud and honored to do that. But that should not happen. We need to figure out a better way to somehow get more assistance to our senior citizens. And you know what? If their taxes would have been lowered, $200, it still wouldn't have been the ticket. They still would have needed some assistance. So, the senior citizen community in Adams County is viable. I think it's, the demographic, we're growing all the time. It's just going to expand. So we better figure out how to nourish and how to support and how to care for our senior citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Phiel. Finally, Mr. Smith.
I couldn't agree with the four gentlemen's comments. They've all made very good points, and I won't reiterate any of those. I'll focus on my solution to providing these services for our seniors is back to the economic development. And you'll solve two problems. One, creating the economic development will provide finances and resources to provide the needs, to meet the needs of the seniors in our community. The other thing is if you provide more viable jobs, more skilled labor jobs, we're going to keep more people in the county. The kids that are graduating high school and can't find a skilled labor job or an industrial job that pays some good money, that causes them to move out of the area. Make no mistake about it, that doesn't outweigh my thought about the importance of agricultural preservation, because I think of the agricultural nature of our community is what draws a lot of seniors from other counties to come and live here, because we have a very beautiful community and a wonderful place to live, and therefore it would require a very delicate balance between economical growth and agricultural preservation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. For our next question, the role of the municipalities, the townships, and the boroughs, not the county commissioners, I just want to make sure that clear, is to provide emergency services. However, the question is, do you see the county commissioners supporting in a supportive role of possible regionalization of fire prevention, police, and emergency services within Adams County? And if so, why? Mr. Bolton, you are up.
Thank you. During my tenure on council, I attended many seminars and conferences by the PSAB, training in police contract negotiations, volunteer fire department liability laws, and the regionalization process. Currently, I'm certified with FEMA and Department of Homeland Security and National Incident Management Systems. I'm an advocate of regionalization. The benefits are proven. They include long-term cost savings through consolidation of services, improved coordination, and reduced response times, just to name a few. The loss of WellSpan ALS is a tragedy, but the county response has been fantastic. SAVES and the Hanover Hospital have teamed up with Medic 46, the efforts by United and their local officials. There's a meeting next week in Biglerville for municipalities and their surrounding areas. We have declining numbers at our volunteer stations as memberships grow older, and the stations are having a harder time raising funds. I authored the ACBA Small Games of Chance resolution 2 years ago. It was designed to help local service clubs increase community contributions by raising the aggregate prize limits. We wanted to eliminate the ceilings, but Governor Corbett allowed $10,000 a week in additional payouts, along with other reforms that we We're looking at, good or bad, giving public bars licenses. Government doesn't have the right to tell you how to spend your money. Putting money into the small games of chance system through service clubs puts more money into your communities and helps support your fire departments and your police. It currently pays completely for a K-9 unit in McSherrystown. Saves couldn't have been possible without the contributions from the local clubs. I will continue to work to keep our safety infrastructure healthy and saving lives in Adams County.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bolton. Mr. Smith.
Could you read your question again, please?
Yes. The local municipalities, the townships and the boroughs are responsible for emergency services. Do you see the county commissioners having a role in supporting possible regionalization of fire prevention, police, and emergency services within the county, and if so, how?
Yes, I do. The people that I speak with that work for the emergency services now seem to be quite disgruntled, and that things don't run very efficiently or effectively, and it seems to me that the whole system needs rework. Now, I've only met with a couple individuals and gotten a little bit of input from them, so without further investigation and digging deeper into this problem, I'm really not inclined to come up with a solution in the 2 minutes provided me here this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Mr. Phiel.
I love emergency service questions. Yeah, as I said before, I'm a lifelong professional emergency responder and have always worked closely with our county emergency services, both in my my previous job and my current job. We walked in the door. We're desperately in need of a languishing 911 radio system, one that we don't have to go to eBay to buy parts for because they aren't available anymore because it's 30 years old. There's no doubt that the need for consolidation of emergency services due to lack and decreasing volunteerism, cost of training, increased training requirements, cost of equipment, and cost of insurance, especially workman's comp insurance, is certainly causing some angst in Adams County and in most counties in Pennsylvania. I'd like to commend the fact that, SAVE several years ago did a consolidation. More recently, you had Abbottstown and New Oxford went together to form United, and then just fresh off the press, we have Bonneville potentially joining with New Oxford, both fire and EMS services. Well, about a year ago, we're very parochial and territorial in Pennsylvania when it comes to municipalities and especially fire companies. And trying to get these guys together is interesting, and I know that from being in that line of work. But about a year ago, with WellSpan talking about exiting ALS Medic 28, I called WellSpan and got many departments to sit down together. And we were making some progress on regionalization. But it turns out that Hamburg Hospital decided to stay in the ALS business, so consequently the departments in the East are more or less content for this time. But what has happened is, and what will happen is eventually, out of necessity, we will see more consolidation and more regionalization. It will happen because of necessity, not because everybody wants to play in the same sandbox nicely. But I'm proud to say that actually United and Gettysburg has come together in the last month. You may have read about it, formed Adams Regional EMS. I'm proud to be on the board of directors. They're going to serve 14 municipalities, and with Fairfield having contract, it's going to serve 20 of our 34 municipalities, and that is going to be a stepping stone, along with these other consolidations I mentioned, for regionalization. So it is what I do, and I will keep up with that, and I'm proud and honored that these folks have their trust and faith in me to be involved with this project.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phiel. I'm sorry, Mr. Hollinger.
I agree with Randy. I agree with Randy in the sense that it's going to happen. Regionalization and consolidation needs to happen. The last numbers that I saw, Pennsylvania leads the nation in the number of fire companies. We have 1,800 fire companies in Pennsylvania, and Maryland has 263. So there's something wrong. When municipalities are charged with this duty, it gets kind of splintered. And the cost of running a fire and rescue operation is staggering. So it needs to happen, and it'll probably happen more often as soon as, everybody comes to the realization that it's going to happen. So one of my ideas to help funding would be neighboring Frederick County has Small Games of Chance, and they direct their proceeds to a nonprofit organization. They're allowed a certain number of sponsors, and 70% of the proceeds of the Small Games of Chance goes to those sponsors. So the Vigilant Hose Company in Emmitsburg are beneficiaries of several sponsors, and the proceeds of those they go directly to the fire service. So that's been a tremendous asset to Vigilant Hose Company, and I would like to see something like that happen around here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hollinger. Mr. Martin.
Thank you. I guess of all the answers, this one I could say in capital letters, absolutely. We would be remiss if we did not support the regionalization of our fire companies. Volunteer fire companies represent a major service within the county that if it went to career unionized fire companies, the cost would be astronomical. And I know as a board, we would not want to see it head in that direction. Thankfully, the meetings together of the various fire companies, as Commissioner Phiel has talked about, has naturally moved in that direction of a consolidation. They see that there's a need there. If they're going to continue to operate, they need to consolidate and reduce their overall expenses. There is the value to what they call economy of scale. The more you consolidate, the lower your costs of operation go. So this is an important aspect of life in Adams County. If we lose our volunteer fire companies, we've lost a great asset, and we need to do what we can to encourage that. And I know our heart to encourage the sustainability of our volunteer fire companies was represented in the radio project. Within that project, we funded radios for all the fire departments so they would not have to go out and make that expenditure. Also, they would not have to come to the townships to ask for that extra money to make that expense. So we wrapped that into the radio project, being sensitive to the needs for volunteer fire companies and law enforcement. So economics will bring it in that direction, as we can see, but we need to support and facilitate it to go in that direction, and I think it will benefit us all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. We are running short on time, so unfortunately we were not able to get to all of the questions tonight. However, these 5 men, I'm sure, would like to stand around afterwards and ask any questions that you may have, and also in the lobby there should be some contact information for most, if not all of them, and I'm sure you can definitely track them down if you have any further questions. We'll now move on to the closing statements. As I stated earlier, the closing statements will be given in reverse order of the opening statements. So we'll start with Mr. Phiel.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for coming to this candidates forum this evening, and again those who are watching at home. It's a sad truth that only 25 to 35% of Adams County registered voters will probably vote in this primary, when in fact local elections play a significant role in our everyday lives. Your presence here tonight, or by watching, shows you are engaged and part of our great American democratic process. Thank you. There is little doubt that experience and a proven track record consistently resonates and has meaning. For Jim and I, this election is not about what we may do or want to do. This is about what we have done and will do. Although I will certainly stipulate that I respect my opponent's desire to enter the process, ask yourself if you prefer proven experience, proven leadership, proven vision, and proven common sense. The experience, contacts, resources, and knowledge of county programs and staff that this board has obtained in the last 3 years is simply priceless for getting things done. The unique and close relationship that we have with Congressman Perry, Senator Alloway, Representative Mao, and Representative Towman is exceptional and has consequently paid huge dividends. If you don't believe me, just ask them. Overall, in the past 3 years, this board has restored fiscal and operational stability to our county government with effective communication dialogue between this board and county residents in a variety of ways. Along with effective department reorganizations, modernized operations, and improved borrowing rates, last year's balanced budget with no tax increase, a responsible contingency reserve, and improved bond rating bodes well for a positive and stable fiscal and operational future for the foreseeable future. I cannot in good conscience conclude my remarks this evening without thanking my family, Kathy, Sean, Kate, Kelly, and Connor. They know that when I commit to anything, I am an all-in kind of guy. Not surprisingly, that kind of commitment takes time away from your family. Normally the morning starts at my house with Kathy saying to me, "Rand, what do you have this evening?" Or "What do you have this weekend?" It is very seldom I say nothing, and it is sometimes 2 events in the evenings and 3 on Saturday. I'm proud to say this entire board has been all in since being elected. I want to express my gratitude to my fellow commissioners, staff, close friends, and colleagues who give me encouragement and counsel each day and reinforce the significance of the work we do. Last, I want to thank each of you. I am truly honored and privileged to serve as your Adams County Commissioner and look forward to your political and personal support for the next 4 years.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phiel. Mr. Smith.
When I turned 18, I registered as a Republican. I've been a lifelong fiscal conservative. I'm efficient, frugal, effective, and productive. My professionalism, dedication, loyalty, and service to others are things I adhere to deeply and do not take lightly. I would be honored to serve you as your commissioner. If elected, I promise to always be available to my constituents, and they would have my fullest loyalty, and I will always bear in mind the sacred trust that you have instilled in me. I will treat everyone with respect and kindness and make the decisions in which I feel are best for this community. I promise to always be available to you and to have compassion for your concerns and treat you with the utmost courtesy. I'd also like to thank the Brethren Home for hosting this wonderful debate this evening, the other candidates for being here with us, my lovely wife for her support, my campaign manager Kathy McGarry, and Mr. Hayes for emceeing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Mr. Bolton.
Also want to extend gratitude to everybody for having us out and for showing up tonight. Tonight, I hope I've demonstrated leadership and financial conservancy with my words and my votes as a councilman, and have shared tonight specific measurable ideas that are ready for implementation to cut county budget costs immediately. No other candidate tonight has given such a vision for the future of our county. Demonstrated my commitment tonight, hopefully, for the emergency services, time and again through my involvements in public service, in the community, in educating myself to better serve the people, and by authoring legislation to provide for such. As County Commissioner, I will continue to support this vital part of our county infrastructure in any capacity deemed appropriate. I've heard the thoughts of the people concerning the effects of improper assessments and the damage it causes our economy. I have shared my concerns over future budgets and have shared common sense solutions to these issues. I hope I've demonstrated my experience as a seasoned legislator by taking the ideas of the people, putting them into words that formed legislation designed to make life better here in our county. Voter referendum, municipal radar, small games of chance, industrial hemp. Initiatives which have given back the power to the communities to determine their futures instead of relying on state and federal government for more mandates and expenses. I hope I've outlined my vision for common sense solutions to constituent disillusionment when it comes to the office of Commissioner by suggesting new policies and protocols designed to promote transparency and greater dialogue, which will generate even more ideas for the betterment of Adams County. I hope I've given you enough to convince you that I'm the right person to support on May 19th. And I hope you will agree by filling in that block next to the name David W. Bolton. Thank you for being involved. Thank you for coming out. May God bless you and continue to bless Adams County. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bolton. Mr. Hollinger, your closing statement, please.
My platform is truth and transparency. When I started my website back in 2010, I tried to bring facts to the table and tools for the county residents to use. Everything that I've alleged has been backed up with evidence, with county records, with law. And, you know, the judge did not dispute that. You know, he dismissed it, but he did not dispute it. Also, towards the last election, the county was a beneficiary of around $10 million from the sale of the county nursing home. And of that $10 million, according to the county manager, $6.1 million is still in the general fund. So that means about $4 million has dissipated. We've also engaged in a $10 million line of credit, of which $2 million has been exercised. So that's a difference of $6 million in the last 3 years that, you know, I'm not sure where it went, but it seems to be a $2 million hole in the budget. Regarding the Clean and Green again, agri-tainment. Agri-tainment was mentioned earlier, and the truth is the owner of the land is the sole person that can benefit from that. You cannot have an independent, for-profit enterprise conducting a for-profit endeavor on public subsidized lands. It's not lawful. It's against the law, and we're engaging in it. Thank you.
Mr. Martin.
Okay. I'm going to change my closing here because of a statement that was made that was totally out of order. Mr. Hollinger was informed what the selling price was for the nursing home. It's contained in county minutes. That selling price was $1.25 million, approximately that amount. It was not $10.1 million. Or I say $6.125 million is what it sold for. It did not sell for $10.1 million. Mr. Hollinger was told at our State of the County forum what the selling price was. He insisted it was $10.1 million. So if we want truth and parency, let's not have misinformation. Let's move forward with true facts. Having that said, from the numerous subjects discussed, you have heard a sample of the complexities of county governance. Those provide no simple solutions, but solutions must be found. Today, we experience something we did not want to experience. Today, we had an active shooter at our prison. And we, as full-time commissioners, we were available to the public. And I think our public appreciates the fact that we're full-time commissioners available to take care of such dramatic situations. The situation was handled well, and we're glad that it's over, and we thank God that it has. So, serving in such an environment has provided invaluable experience and leadership opportunities to make me well qualified to repeat another term as county commissioner. How is this success created? The answer is, before taking office, the new board, which included Commissioner Phiel, we realized the seriousness of the task before us, and we began setting goals and objectives we knew we could work within. Having that common vision, we were ready to move Adams County forward. Armed with those goals and objectives, we began by immediately tackling the emergency radio project, implementing reorganization for a more unified county government. We brought calm to the county courthouse. We are building a stronger financial position for the county. We've upgraded the technology of our IT system that was past the capabilities we needed and was in the state of almost going south, so to speak. It was moving towards a crash state. We had to do something. So, also, we began replacing high-maintenance vehicles that were worn out. The Sheriff's Department was taking out unsafe vehicles with long trips, with prisoners. That had to change. And if time permitted, I could tell you of more stories we could share of major projects that we stepped into for the betterment of the county.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. Many of you may have noticed I did let Mr. Martin go on a little bit longer because of the fact that I was going to offer him and Mr. Fowle the opportunity at the end for a 1-minute rebuttal to Mr. Hollinger's closing statement. So because he took that opportunity, I will allow Mr. Fowle with the just request that we do want to wrap it up.
I'm simply going to pass, Alex.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr.
Deserves no
Fowle.
comment.
I would like to thank the candidates for taking time to share their views with the voters. And thank you to Cross Keys Village, the Brethren Home community, for providing the space for tonight's debate. And thank you very much to the Cross Keys Voter Information Group and the Adams County Farm Bureau for helping to organize the events. We have some upcoming events we do want to tell you about. On April 30th, here at Cross Keys in this room, the judicial candidates, Christina Simpson, Sean Wagner, and Matt Teeter will be here. On May 4th, the Democrat candidates for Commissioner, Marty Qualley, Harry Stokes, and Paul Kellett will be here in this room. And on May 6th, in Valentine Hall at the Lutheran Seminary, not here, so don't come here, the Gettysburg Area School District candidates will be presenting, and I'll be moderating all those events. I close all of these debates by reminding people that telling you to vote on November 4th is pointless. If you didn't plan to vote, you would not be here or watching online or on television. What I would like you to do is invite at least 2 people, no matter what their political views are, to go to the polls with you. As Mr. Fowle said, the poll numbers, the turnout is pathetic. We have plenty of time to get to know every candidate on your ballot, whether it's the ones here today or everybody else. People are also invited to write a letter to the editor in support of their candidate of choice to the Gettysburg Times. All letters must be 400 words or less and emailed to editor@gettysburgtimes.com no later than Sunday, May 3rd. If you do not have the ability to email, I will accept hard copies mailed to the newspaper, but I beg you, if you have the opportunity to email it, take it. It's a little easier on me. And remember to read the Gettysburg Times Daily for ongoing coverage of not only this election, but all things that are happening here in Adams County. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming tonight.
Good job, sir.